DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've heard the words several times now, but do we really know what they mean, especially on the job, like the job you're working or the one you're trying to get? We have here human resources professionals and specialists, Russell Craigwell Consulting, that's Latisha Russell and Nneka Craigwell with us. They're going to explain, give a high-level overview of DEI, what it means, and also give a high-level overview of distinguishing it from those EEOC laws that protect us when we're on the job.
Truth.
No chaser.
Relative to EEOC, that is a government entity, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And the way I want you to think about it in its simplest terms is that the EEOC is reactive. There was a problem, somebody reported the problem, and somebody had to go investigate the problem. DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's typically proactive. We saw a problem before it got reported, and we wanted to reach out to the community in ways that brought in more people, and that could have been diversity in thought, diversity in what you look like, and we want to include those different ideas and those different possibilities and capabilities, right? Because every group of people doesn't have the same skill set. When you think about an EEO issue, there are only certain issues that can even be classified under EEO, and that is race, gender, genetics, things like that. So let's just pretend for the sake of argument that you work in a place and you feel like, oh my goodness, they discriminated against me because I'm a black male. You have an issue, and then you go and you report that to this entity that is EEOC. That is a case. What I do want to say, and I'm going to give you a couple disclaimers, I am not an attorney, right? I don't play one on TV. I don't pretend to be one. Right. But there is some confusion around the dismantling of EEOC. But EEOC was established as an executive order back in the day. And so on day one of this current administration, it was dismantled as an executive order. When EEOC was developed, it was developed to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. There are certain things that have happened under EEOC that have become law. EEOC or EEO was not law, it was executive order. I'm going to kind of leave that right there because even as we speak, that's a really fluid issue. There's a lot of legalities involved in that, but I think what you should take away from what I just said is that EEOC is reactive. I have a problem. I'm not happy with it. I feel like somebody did me wrong. I'm going to go have it investigated. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is cast a wide net so you can get as many thoughts, create as much inclusion as possible so that you avoid people saying you didn't hire me or you fired me because of my race, because of my gender, because of my genetics. And those are the two biggest differences. DEI was the result of people recognizing like, hey, we have to do this differently. It was the result of people getting sued because you have overlooked my qualifications and you have only looked at my exterior and decided that you didn't want to deal with me. You treated me differently. So as a society, let's do better. So those are the real differences. Government agency versus voluntary programming that is implemented on a per company basis in the way that they see fit, in the way that works for their environment.
So if I'm hearing correctly, then DEI is more so is more so a CYA for
So what I would like to do, I would like to say, I don't want to paint it that way. Because I think then that brings about a negative connotation. And let me tell you why. Okay. Because if you paint it as CYA, then when I get rid of it, what difference does it make? Because it sounds like you didn't believe in it in the first place. And now people are really, really upset because they're tampering with EEO and, oh my goodness, all these DEI hires. And that's not the case. But if that's how you feel, then don't be alarmed. Don't be upset, right? Mm-hmm. Don't be bothered, when it's gone. If you feel like it's CYA. On some level, maybe it was. But that CYA created opportunities. That CYA kept people out of trouble because guess what? I would rather reach out and hire you and get your difference in thoughts and what you look like and all the things than have you sue me because I didn't happen to consider your particular set of skills, right? In my Liam Neeson voice. I don't want to put that negative spin on it, but that's just me. So, Tish, anything to add?
No, I agree with you. I said no, and I agree. But I agree with you, right? But it's so much, it's such a larger thing versus a CYA. And so just making sure kind of those bullet points at a high level is much more. And so when you think about like, how am I impacted by this? That's how, whether it's an employer or an employee, we need you to really think about the points around, is this reactive? Is this, are we trying to be proactive with various programs? Or are we being reactive when it comes to things?
Okay. So what's your suggestions on like how people should move forward in this climate though?
So that's a loaded question. I'll start if you don't mind. So my mantra for, I'm going to say the year right now is govern yourself accordingly. I don't know what that looks like in your house, right? But what I'm not doing is and I think I'm a little bit closer to it because of what I do for a living, but I can't get caught up in what you want to take away from me. What I have to do is I have to think about the things that I can control. I can go right now, whip out my resume, look at my LinkedIn profile, market myself differently, and I have to figure out how I want to pivot, right? Full disclosure, my spouse works for the federal government. So every day is something different. Every day there's a different discussion. And so what can I affect in that? So govern yourself accordingly. What are you doing to take care of your house? What are you doing to lock up your money? Is there a dream that you need to chase that has nothing to do with your employer? Is now the time to be an entrepreneur? I don't know, but I have been saying that for months. Like, govern yourself accordingly. Look at your finances. Look at your resume. Look at how you present yourself. Pay attention to your brand. What are the things that you woulda, coulda, shoulda been doing before all this stuff jumped off? And now you need to do it because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, that right now is what I'm doing. I'm governing myself accordingly. That looks totally different in my girl's house, right? She doesn't have a spouse that works for the federal government. That looks totally different in y'all's homes. What are y'all doing? And then, like, what's your backup plan? Like, what is the thing that you could be doing because you know you might be impacted? So those are the things that you have to do. Like, take your inventory. What does your inventory look like? And when I say inventory, I mean everything. Your lifestyle, the money you spend, the money you don't spend, like your job. There is no such thing as job security, right? So if you're counting on that, like, govern yourself accordingly. Yeah. I mean, we could talk more about that, but it's a broad question. It's a broad question. So
I got you.
And I think what I would say in addition to that is, don't wait until something happens before you're like, oh my goodness, I need to go out and update my resume, right? Don't wait until something happens. And we hope that it doesn't, but you should be proactive in that. Let me make sure that my resume is updated, right? I've been with the same company, whether it's government or not, for 15 years. And more times than not, people get very comfortable with, oh, I've been in this role. I don't need to update my resume, right? I'm good. But then the moment that it happens, they're in panic mode. And so what I've been saying is, in moments that you can get in front of folks, apply for opportunities, even if you have a job right now, use that as an opportunity to practice interviewing, right? Use that as an opportunity to say, man, let me get familiar with the questions that one might ask. And so also becoming familiar with, what should my resume look like? What should it say, right? Let me get familiar with, so tell me why you're looking to come on with this organization, right? Tell me about yourself. Like, that is the number one question. And that is a question that most people are stumped at. And so that's what I would say as well when we talk about governing yourselves accordingly. Don't wait until it happens. Be proactive about it.
Got you.
And if I could back up real quick before you have another question, I just want to kind of drive this point home when you talk about DEI, and if it's like a CYA that companies were doing it. I want you to think about the companies today that have actively, because of the climate that we're in, because of the changes that have been made, have decided, because DEI is not a requirement. It is not a requirement by law. You are not subject to blah, 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 but you made a conscious choice to do it. And then when the going got tough, you said, I'm not doing it anymore, right? And there have been consequences to some institutions and some organizations for keeping their DEI. So as you're out here and you're doing what Latisha said, and you're taking your inventory and you're governing yourself accordingly, I want you to think about that if those are organizations that you want to be a part of, right? Because we weren't checking for that. A lot of people weren't checking for that until it was gone. And now that it's gone, It's kind of like, oh, we got to boycott and oh, we got to do X. Why? Because they shifted what they were doing. So you have to govern yourself accordingly. Do you want to go to that organization knowing that they might not respect and appreciate, right, what people believe a DEI company, organization, or program should look like versus what it was originally intended to do? It was originally intended to treat people fairly. It was originally intended to be proactive, like, hey, we can do better, right? And now that you have consciously decided that that's not what you want to do, is that a place you want to be?
Truth. No chaser.